How did you get into farming?
I was going to school in Steamboat for sustainability studies.
Yeah.
And there's a farm out there with a climate battery greenhouse, and my buddy did solar panels for this house, so I got invited to the party. We were doing all this composting, so I was at the farmer's market just composting, like Oscar the Grouch, I called it, because you're kind of in the trash can, like being a grouch about the compost. And then it was amazing because they had all this cool stuff growing in there. And then since then, it's changed hands, and different people I've known have run it that I went to school with and everything. And so when I moved here from Steamboat, my friend worked at this restaurant, the Squeaky Bean, and I was house sitting for the Frisky Clam. My friend's restaurant, Josh, who became my mentor, basically was like farming out here. And I farmed out here, and he was like, well, what's your dream? I was like, oh, I'll be a sustainability coordinator at a high school. He's like, well, we're farming at a high school. And so then we went to Warren Tech, and that first winter there wasn't like much to do, but I got to grow some oyster mushrooms and stuff in the lab, like kind of a little lab, because they had those greenhouses running. And then boom, we got up and running. So we were like selling food in Denver at the Les Jardins, Secret Garden in like there's like a little breezeway in Larimer Square. Super dope. And that was that. And then when I was working for Warren Tech, I got a job with Metro teaching on the farm at Warren Tech and at Metro. So that was really cool, being an adjunct there. And then I got the technician job at Warren Tech. So I did Metro for 3 years. It was just super awesome because, when you go to school, it's like, oh, you're all elated and things go well. And they don't always go well, but that's farming or that's plants. That's what got me into farming though. Josh was so passionate about it. He works for Aspen Moon Farms now and lives on the farm and all this stuff. James, who farmed with Josh when I first started farming, lives here at this house and has a 5-year lease on it. And I kind of had my eye on it. I was like, oh, he let me farm here. And so I'm able to pay him rent. This is the 3rd year, and he helps me. He has a ton of tools that are already here, like irrigation, for example. That's a pretty big one. Broad forks and some different stuff. And he's real helpful, and he's kind of speaks for the land, if you will. And I've had a lot of help from my friends, so it's like a one-person farm, but not really. So that's what got me into farming, though, was this amazing greenhouse experience. I was super passionate about it. And like, man, when I met Chef Jackson Lamb, the teacher of he teaches like a lot of different classes. He needed his greenhouse class taken, but he's a chef, so he's teaching cooking, but they have like a whole hotel that they run over at Metro. So that's like its own thing. He I had actually taken a class at Red Rocks by the truths of the biology too. That helped me have better syntax, like talking about biology and things like that, and farming, just being immersed in farming, because Josh was so cool about, oh, there's this thing going on, we have to go do it, or like we're hosting a thing at the restaurant, or like we're volunteering here, you're gonna wait tables tonight, or like we're having a tour on the farm. Like there'd be like school buses rolling up, and all that sort of stuff going on all the time. And yeah, that's how I got into it. GoFarm's helping buy food, and Hardy Provisions, that new place, they buy food. Yeah. And so that was really cool. Like how I met Sarah was really cool, because I had to get that food, the FSMA, the Food Safety Modernization Act, like 8-hour class. But then they gave me a stipend to do the train the trainer. It was like super fun. And so I got to be like picked on as the farmer in the class. There's people from all different, buyers and places, from people from different places. So it was great. It was really cool. And they feed you awesome food at all these farm events. So it's fun to start off my season last year that way. So this is the 3rd season.
How long have you been farming for?
So it's 2025. Since about 2014. Okay. So when we met some of those professors, when we went to the Moses conference, it was so cool, and I learned so much. I got to go twice. Yeah. What is Midwestern Organic Sustainability Education something else? And it's all these organic farmers. The foods are good, and they have classes you can take, kind of like our Pro Green Expo, but like organic farmer stuff. And I went to the Telluride Mushroom Festival, and I learned more about farming there. And I was like, wow, this is really cool. Like, it's all tied in. Like, because when I was going to school for sustainability, I was like green computing and like all these other things. I never really did like food stuff until I volunteered and saw that greenhouse in Steamboat. And I was like, wow.
What have been some like barriers to like farming?
My challenge to farming was, I lived in the mountains and I went to school and I moved down here. I got really lucky in the sense that Josh was able to bankroll a farm, and everything was all laid out by the previous history of like flowers in Colorado. So the greenhouses were already there. We just needed to pull the weeds and plant all this stuff. and Josh had all the know-how from the restaurant perspective and experimenting out here and experimenting in his plot in downtown Denver. I was like so lucky, but I think it was the hard work and like going to school, because like you get out of school, like you get what you put into it, and I did put in a lot. The biggest challenge was that refrigeration. Holy cow. Okay. So much work of like you're farming, but then you have to like deal with all this stuff. Yeah. That was my biggest challenge, and it just got fixed.
Yeah.
That's what happened. Yeah. So it's awesome. The challenges were like learning, like when the rubber hits the road kind of stuff, and like making mistakes. There's a lot to learn with farming, and it changes a lot. And so that was pretty intense, like learning how to teach the greenhouse class. And there's like a big blend book that they give you, and all those charts and all those black and white pictures are super important. But like there's the other side to the greenhouse business where it's like not just a plug and play. So I got to like learn from all these students. That's how I like learned about the compost that I have right now, is from an old student of mine. I gave one of their poster reports on compost, and like, because it's really hard to get into farming, and I kind of like scored and got lucky and got to like learn all this stuff at like a super high fast-paced rate. Like the difficulty of farming now was like getting back into it and like thinking, you know, all these people and everybody changes jobs, and how do you sell the food? So like GoFarm was instrumental, I knew, in buying the food, and it took a minute, and then we got it going. And you know, my first season I just grew a ton of squash, and I got East Denver Food Co-op to buy food, and that was really great because they're Al and Catherine were people I knew from the farming community. When I went to bring like my food samples, I was all nervous and stuff. I was like, I know you guys, like, cool.
Yeah, I was wondering a bit more about the financial aspect as well, because I know you have like another job, right?
Right.
And so like, what's that?
I deliver pizza right now. Before that, I was selling comics on eBay. I already knew how to budget, and like certain things like you buy are a waste of money, you know. Certain things like I've recycled that we've had here, upcycling, reusing, it's been super important. GoFarm helped because, you know, I was working so hard with my crop cover, and then I was on their emails. I was like, oh, we have like crop cover for cheap. I was able to do like a big portion of the field. I just have vetch, I just found growing like from that cycle way back when. And now I've like found a local supplier of crop cover and just anything to fight the weeds. But financially, I did the Country Golden Market, which I didn't make a lot of money because the first time farmers market and it's small, but I got different connections through that market, selling to a caterer. And then even yesterday I did it for the first time, and it wasn't very much money, but all the trading and all the food I got, like, it was totally worth it. It was super fun. The financial thing is like, so I just have my Google spreadsheet and I log every little thing. Then in the end, I like add up like how much I've made. And I'm like, oh wow, I broke even. That was really cool. So I did markets the last 2 days. So I was out here at like 7 or 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning yesterday. And now I have refrigeration, which is huge. We have a CoolBot system here, but there's been hurdles on getting it up and running. And then
on the days that you do like go to your pizza job, like are you here before that, after that?
Oh yeah, totally.
So it's a long day for you.
Oh yeah. Some of my days are long. And so I go to the San Luis Valley seed swap, and that was pretty cool. And then I buy seed from the Masa Seed Foundation. And then I buy from wholesalers.
So it's just talk about your relationship with GoFarm.
Oh yeah,
and like how that started.
I think my boss picked me up because I didn't have a car, and I met like the first slew of people from GoFarm, and then called Centaur Health.
Yeah,
there's someone from Centaur.
It's Common Spirit now.
Now it's Common Spirit, and they were studying like people's opinions on the food as they would prescribe the food to sick people, and sick people would take it. And ultimately, what it came down to was like the freshness of the food, which is so awesomely simple. So I would meet the different GoFarmers, and they would like start plants in the greenhouse. Like we would sell to GoFarm. I was a customer also. And that was like really cool because I got to see what all the other farmers had. Actually just sitting at my kitchen table like, oh, what do we have in this box? That was my involvement with GoFarm. There's 2 Katies. There's Katie Falconhart. Ms. Falconhart got married, and like her name became Falconhart, was the food buyer. And when I started growing, I like hit her up, and like she was leaving. So then y'all were getting a new food buyer. I got the new food buyer, and then got to start selling food. So this year I got to get started early and actually like have my stuff going and, you know, time out the arugula and the radishes. I've interplanted. Well, you saw it. So they let me take the BCS.
Yeah.
GoFarm did.
BCS?
That's the tiller.
Oh,
that's the big mean tiller with the turning handle.
I see.
The Italian one. Nice. And that thing's like super awesome. And like I went to town because I didn't have a tiller. It's like mad expensive just to rent one. And I think they gave it to me for like $50 for like a week.
Right. Was that with like a tool share? Or?
Yeah, with the tool share. Yeah.
Nice.
Like when my mom needed, she's like an at-home nurse. So sometimes she makes like a ton of money. Sometimes she makes a very small amount of money. Right. And it was like COVID and stuff. And I was like, yeah, we just like email GoFarm and tell them your plight. And then just because you don't have a SNAP card doesn't mean that you can't get a discount on this food share. Because
Right.
it's like I wanted her to get it, but I had to convince, so that's how I convinced her. And we got like y'all gave us a discount, so that was cool. So I've also been a beneficiary of benefits, or
Nice.
my mom was. Or whatever.
Like, what's your favorite thing to grow and your least favorite thing to grow?
So my favorite thing to grow, and I really do think it's the garlic that I love to grow the best.
Okay.
Because you work in the cooler weather and you cure it, and it's a lot of fun.
And then your least favorite?
Oh, my least favorite is like potatoes, because it's just like a lot of work of digging, and sometimes you don't find potatoes, and you have to just tear up the entire row. I've just done a lot of it, and so I got kind of tired of it. Since I get to pick and choose what I grow, like I just don't grow potatoes. Well, I mean, you have to keep the soil healthy, and since I'm here and like to keep my integrity, like there's certain practices I have to do, since it's like my buddy's land, right? It's not like it's my property, and then even if it was, still, of course, if it's mine, so I have to treat it like it's mine. And so, like, I know the history of like the compost applications. I haven't gotten into soil tests yet, but I've teamed up with like, so the ash on my garlic, for example, is like somebody does like a home sauna company and like drops the ash off. So that's really great, and they're not using any chemically treated wood or anything gross, right? So it's like I've controlled that.
And then I guess, what does the ash do?
Oh, it adds potassium.
Okay.
It adds potassium mostly.
Yeah.
There's water retention and things like that help too. Just like, you know, I do lots of bags of leaf mulch. I'm not at the point where I have like a leaf drop or anything like that, but mainly garlic is where I do that. And when I can get like rotted straw bales, I like to use that. You know, the first year, so 3 seasons ago, we had a ton of rain, and I'd use that tiller a whole bunch and hilled up the beds. And so it was super helpful as far as drainage. Like, the soil drain's great, but it was also helpful to have it mounded just so it wasn't, you know, kind of washed out and flat. So that technique really helped, I felt. And then even at that point, like, the plants are blowing around a little bit and they get cut on the plastic, and so the plastic was already here. That's one practice I want to get away from. Like, but I prefer to have like the new burlap stuff. It seems to be working pretty well, or just not have to use it at all and find a way, like an electric wheel hoe. I think would be like way more sustainability minded, because like, so this year I found llama compost, which like retains water, it has more nitrogen, I get to use less of it, and like you have to use it safely. You have to, like, even though it's 3 years aged, like that kind of doesn't matter. You still have to incorporate it in the soil. You can't have it like on the surface of the soil. But man, that stuff seems to be fire so far. Like, where I used it on my kale plants and everything, it's working great. And then rotating plants is huge, and crop cover is huge. Which I'm like, I don't want to grow all of one thing. I grow diversity on purpose. If you don't rotate, it's like you're just asking for trouble.
Yeah, like why should people buy local food? Why not just go to the grocery store?
Oh yeah.
You know?
Well, I think like the leverage point on that is like garlic, even though there's all these great tasting things. But like, I know people that are like, what? There's more than one kind of garlic? It's like,
right? I didn't know.
Yeah, right.
Until,
until I found out. Yeah. Until you find out. And so it's like, you want me to eat all this healthy stuff, so like I'm not gonna get sick, so I don't like, you know, overburden the healthcare system. Like, so like that's what these little farms do, is like put the healthcare system out of business, because it's like a stepping stone to better health. When people learn about local food, then it's like changes their whole eating paradigm basically. And so how are you supposed to eat all that stuff with like store-bought, you know, garlic from China that's been irradiated or something weird that just tastes bland, you know? And there's different spicier ones, softer ones, you know, like my mom likes this garlic because it's softer and she can actually digest it. And so I think that's huge, just like those little things that we take for granted. And it's like, how do people learn about that? And like, how to get it out there, how to get it into stores even. Like, it's not about scaling up, but like I love all the efforts of like, every kid knows more about gardening than their parents now, you know, and they're like all the different school counties and the different ways they're trying to get food in. But as a farmer, like, oh boy, like it's hard to imagine like just finding okay, you found the farm, how are you going to grow thousands of pounds of cucumbers? How are you going to have that workforce? Like, how are you going to sell it for that price? Things like that. So I think incentivizing, just like, you know, in some places you could get 10 cents for one of these plastic bottles. Right. And so you don't see plastic bottles on the ground. So creating those incentives for farmers, like not a handout, but being like, oh, turn in your plastic mulch and we'll give you free burlap, or, we'll trade it out. So like, we don't want microplastics anymore. Like, farming is hard work.
Yeah.
So it's like matching up people that want to do the hard work and creating that environment that they want to do it in. And it seems to be on smaller farms, because the larger you get, the more pressure you're under, right? Like, I try to run a low stress-free environment. I think seeing how people farm and seeing like the programs, or like, just the different systems that different farms run on, like, oh, look at this irrigation, or oh, look at this crop, really, really helps, And it's always like amazing how much quality you can get out of a smaller space, It's definitely like, how do you get it out? Is like someone to do the CSAs for the farmers. Like someone like me, after I farmed a long time, like I just like to grow this stuff. You know what I mean? Like I like it. That's what like I really appreciate the most. So that's the beauty of it, I guess, is like the distribution. Places like GoFarm does that.